Let's begin. I moved to Rachel, Nevada for peace and quiet. That's what I told people anyway. Truth is, I wanted to be near the place where I'd spent most of my life looking at the sky. Area 51. I was an Air Force mechanic for over 20 years, retired early, got a little trailer off the extraterrestrial highway. Life slowed down. I started photographing the stars. That's when things got, well, weird. It started with lights, bright ones, brighter than any aircraft I've ever worked on. They hovered above the Groom Lake, zigzagged across the horizon, and vanished like someone flipping a switch. One night I got a clear photo, triangular craft, no wings, silent. I posted it anonymously on a UFO forum under the name Desert Eagle 76. 2 days later they came. It was just after sundown. Knock on my trailer door. Not a loud one, just deliberate. I opened it to find 2 men. Black suits. Thin black ties. Both about the same height. Pale as ash. They didn't say hello. "Mr. Adams," one said, though I'd never given my name online. "We'd like a word about the photograph." Their voices didn't match their mouths. I know that sounds strange, but there was a delay, like they were lip-syncing. I asked who they were with. "We're authorized." That was all he said. I invited them in, but they didn't sit. They just stood there, like mannequins, scanning every corner of the room. One of them picked up my camera and handed it to the other. "This has a powerful lens," the second said. "Dangerous even." I asked what they wanted. They looked at each other, then at me. "You saw what you weren't supposed to see," the first one said. "We recommend forgetting." I laughed nervously. "You're going to have to be more specific." Their faces stayed blank. The second man stepped closer. "There's no triangle. There is no light. There is only sky and silence. Do you understand?" I didn't answer. They left without another word. But that wasn't the end. That night my trailer lights flickered. My laptop hard drive fried. Every photo I'd taken, gone. The next morning I found bootprints in the drift around my property. Big ones, military style. And then there was a humming, every night for a week. Low and constant, like a diesel engine far away. But there was nothing out there. No trucks, no planes, just humming, and the feeling of being watched. I don't post photos anymore. I don't even take them. The sky still calls to me, but I've learned to ignore it, because whatever I saw, they saw me back. Encounter number 2. It was supposed to be a quiet trip. I'm a travel blogger. I cover folklore, haunted locations, that kind of thing. In late 2023, I flew to Wales to write about local legends, fairies, ghosts, and the occasional UFO. I stayed in a little village near Llangollen, foggy hills, narrow roads, stone cottages. It was like stepping back in time. One morning I hiked out to visit an old sheep farmer who'd emailed me after reading about my blog. Said he had a story I wouldn't believe. He wasn't wrong. We sat on his porch. He looked about 90, hard eyes, sunburned skin. He lit a cigarette with trembling hands and pointed to the tree line. "Saw a craft land there. 1968. Round as a dinner plate. Glowed like a lantern." I asked if he'd seen anyone inside. He nodded. Tall men, black suits. No eyes, just shadows where the eyes should be. They didn't walk. They floated. Didn't say a word. I asked why he thought they were here. "They weren't looking for us," he whispered. "They were looking for something they'd lost." I wrote everything down. I thanked him, posted a teaser that night. Unbelievable encounter coming soon from rural Wales. Aliens or something darker? That was my mistake. The next day I noticed a car following me. Black Jaguar. Old model, pristine condition, parked down the street from my bed and breakfast. I saw it again at the petrol station. Same two men inside. Black hats, never looking at me, but never looking away either. That night I woke up to a tapping on the window. Not knocking, a tap, tap, tap. My room was on the second floor. I peeked out, and I swear to God, I saw a man standing in the garden, perfectly still. His face was tilted up at me, but there was no expression, just emptiness. I turned away, heart pounding. When I looked again, he was gone. The next morning the innkeeper said two gentlemen had asked about me, claimed they were British Historical Preservation. They didn't give names. I decided to leave early. Packed up, got in my rental car, drove fast through those winding hills. The fog rolled in heavier than usual. I kept glancing in the rear-view mirror. Then, in the middle of a narrow lane, I saw it again. The black Jaguar, parked sideways. Two men in black suits standing in front of it, not moving, not gesturing, just blocking the road. I stopped about 30 feet away, rolled my window down an inch. One of them raised his hand slowly, like a wave, but slower. Then he spoke. I didn't hear it through the glass. I heard it in my head. You are trespassing in stories not meant to be told. Then both men stepped back. The Jaguar vanished. And I don't mean drove away. I mean it was gone, like a light switched off. I floored it all the way to the main road, drove straight to Liverpool, and got on a flight that night. I never wrote that blog post. But I still hear the tapping sometimes, even now. And sometimes when I check the traffic logs, the IPs come from nowhere, untraceable. Encounter number 3. I study photography at university just outside Tokyo. Night photography is my thing. Cityscapes, reflections, neon lights. I love the quiet hum of Tokyo after midnight. One night last summer I was on the roof of a multi-storey parking garage near Shinjuku. It was after 2 a.m. Clear skies, perfect visibility. I was taking a long exposure of the skyline when something moved across my frame. Fast, too fast. I looked up just in time to see a glowing sphere streak silently above the rooftops, then stop, just hovering. Then, zip. It vanished upward, straight into the sky. No sound, no trail. I checked my camera. The last frame caught it, barely, a white blur against the stars. I didn't know what to do with it, so I posted it on a local photography board. Just one shot, no caption. 2 days later, they showed up. It was a humid afternoon. I'd just finished class and was walking back to my dorm when two men approached me. Both wore black suits and skinny ties, like salarymen from the 80s. No ID badges, no logos. One was bald, the other wore sunglasses, even though it was cloudy. They bowed stiffly, too stiffly. "Yamamoto-san?" the bald one asked. "We would like to speak with you about your rooftop photographs." That chilled me. I hadn't used my name on that post. They asked to see the original file. I hesitated. The man with the sunglasses smiled. But not in a human way. It was more like a puppet smile. Stretched too far. "If you would be so kind," he said. I told them I didn't have the file anymore. Deleted. They didn't blink. "You saw something not intended for you," the bald one said. "Please refrain from sharing further anomalies." I asked who they worked for. He tilted his head slightly. We work for the silence. That's what he said. We work for the silence. They bowed again and left, walking perfectly in sync. No talking, no glancing back. I stood there, heart pounding, watching them disappear into the crowd. No one else seemed to notice them at all. That night my phone glitched out. The screen froze, then flashed once and powered off permanently. My camera SD card wouldn't read. It was corrupted. I tried to talk to friends about it, but they laughed it off, said I must have dreamed it. But it wasn't a dream. 1 week later I caught a glimpse of the same two men standing outside my campus gate, motionless, watching. I turned around and walked the other way. I've never gone back to that rooftop. I don't take night photos anymore, and if I ever see those salarymen again, I'm not sticking around to talk. Encounter number 4. The Amazon Silence. I spent the last 8 years studying wildlife in the Amazon basin, mostly birds and reptiles. I've seen some rare stuff, but nothing prepared me for what I found near Rio Puris. Our team was deep in the jungle, tagging toucans. The local tribes were friendly, but warned us to stay clear of one particular clearing. They called it Terra Silenciata, the Silent Land. We didn't listen. One morning I woke up early, before the others, and went off alone to set up camera trap. I found myself near that clearing, and I understood instantly why they feared it. There was no birds, no insects, and no wind. Just silence, thick and heavy, like sound itself had been shut off. Then I saw it. Hovering just above the treetops, it was silver and disc-shaped, utterly still. It rotated slightly, humming low like an old refrigerator, no windows, no lights. And then it blinked out. Not flew away, just gone. I sprinted back to camp. Told no one. I thought I could process it on my own. I was wrong. The next morning 2 men arrived in a motorboat. Suits, ties, shined shoes in the middle of the jungle. No one knew how they got there. They weren't sweating, no bug bites and no mud. They said they were with Government Monitoring Initiative, but they never said which government. One was white, pale as chalk. The other looked vaguely Brazilian. His accent was off, too. It was too formal, like he'd memorised how to talk from a textbook. They asked if anyone had seen aerial phenomena. Everyone shook their heads. Then the pale man turned to me. "Have you seen anything unusual, Doctor?" he asked. He shouldn't have known my name. I said no. He nodded but kept staring at me. His eyes didn't move. They were pitch black, not like dark brown, but black. The other one took out a small metal box. No buttons, just a smooth surface. He turned it towards me and said, "Please look here." I refused. He tilted his head. There are things better left unseen. They didn't wait for a response. They just turned, walked into the jungle and vanished. No boat and no trail, they were just gone. That night every recording device was stopped working. Camera traps, GPS, audio logs wiped, like we'd never been there. We cut the expedition short. Back in Manus, I tried reporting it to a friend in the environmental agency. She told me flatly, "There are files we don't open, even when we're allowed." I asked her what that meant. She didn't answer. But I've had this recurring dream ever since. I'm standing in that silent clearing again, and something above me is watching and waiting. Encounter number 5. Whispers in the Karoo. I work for a telecom company that maintains radio towers across the Northern Cape, one of the most isolated parts of South Africa. The Karoo is like another planet. Flat, dry, endless sky. I can go hours, days without seeing another soul. One July afternoon, I drove out to service at a repeater station near the Tantqua Reserve. Routine check. Signal had dropped unexpectedly for 48 hours. When I arrived, the equipment was intact. Power was fine, but the frequency output was wrong. It was broadcasting static, intermittently on a band we don't use. I recorded a sample. It wasn't just noise, there were patterns, pulses, faint whispers layered beneath the white hiss. I boosted the gain, ran it through audio software on my laptop, and I heard it. They're not from here. It sounded metallic, monotone, like speech passed through a machine. I played it again. You must not listen. Then nothing. The signal died. I packed up and got ready to leave, but just as I reached my truck, I saw something in the distance. A black car. No dust trail, no engine noise. It just appeared on the gravel road, maybe 100 meters away. Two men stood beside it, black suits, hats, even though it was nearly 40 degrees. They were out of place. One of them waved me over. I didn't move. They began walking towards me, slow, measured steps. The other just stood, unmoving. The one who approached had skin so pale it was almost shimmering. His voice was deep but flat, no accent that I could place. We detected your curiosity, he said. That's dangerous. I asked who they were. We are the ones who maintain the balance, he replied. Then he held out something, a small disc, metallic and smooth. Take this. You'll forget the interference. I never touched it. He frowned barely. The veiled mists warned of your kind. You never listen. The word veiled means. I'd heard it before. Old folklore. Desert spirits. Shadow men. I blinked, and in that half second he was gone. So was the car. Just desert and wind again. I got in my truck and drove like hell back to the outpost. When I tried to access the audio file, it was gone, corrupted beyond recovery. My laptop crashed entirely 2 days later. I filed a vague maintenance report and never mentioned the signal, but I've heard it again since. In my dreams, on long drives through empty roads, the whisper, you must not listen. Encounter number 6. I was part of a geological survey team stationed in the Sakha Republic, deep Siberia, mapping permafrost shifts near an old mining outpost. It was late November, sun barely crept above the horizon, temperatures plunged to minus 40 degrees Celsius. Most of the locals had already left for the season. Just us, a skeleton crew, and miles of frozen silence. One morning, while collecting core samples, I wandered a bit further than usual. Following a strange magnetic reading from our handheld equipment, it led me to a shallow depression, perfectly circular, maybe 30 meters wide. No snow inside it. Not melted, missing, like it had never fallen there. In the middle of the circle, the compass spun wildly. Then I noticed it, above me. A massive matte black object, silent, stationary, no markings, no lights. It wasn't flying, it was just there, just hanging in the air like a wound in the sky. I stepped back slowly, heart hammering, and just like that, it blinked out. Gone. No sound, no air disturbance, nothing. I ran back to camp and told no one. Not at first. That night I heard knocking on the door of our prefab shelter. Slow, rhythmic, too calm for this part of the world. When I opened it, 2 men stood there, not dressed for the cold. Black suits, shiny shoes, no coats, no breath in the air. One spoke in flawless Russian, but something was off. Every word was perfect, but the rhythm was wrong, too precise. You were exposed to a restricted phenomenon, he said. This location is not yours to investigate. I asked who they worked for. FSB, GRU, NASA? The second man smiled. There are older agencies than yours. They stepped inside uninvited. My colleagues were frozen, literally, motionless, eyes open like mannequins. Time around us had stopped. I felt pressure in my head, like altitude sickness. The second man reached into his coat and pulled out a small glass vial filled with dark liquid. You will take this. It will ensure clarity. I refused. They didn't insist. They just stared. You remember more than you should, the first said. Sleep will become challenging. And then they were gone. Time snapped back. My colleagues blinked and resumed talking like nothing had happened. I never told them. But since that day I've had vivid dreams. Not dreams really. Memories. Of cold black corridors. Of shapes that are not men. Of voices that echo from nowheres, saying the same phrase over and over. You are not meant to know. I left the survey early. I haven't returned to the Arctic since. But I still feel watched, especially when it snows, especially when it's silent. That's all for this evening. Sweet dreams.